Dylan!
What the hell happened to the rest?
Surprise, motherfucker!
I guess it died. Arnold couldn't finish his sentence.
He's pulling.
Oh, that wasn't it. Don't worry about it.
You what?
Hi, everybody. You know me, just testing the soundboard, making sure it's working. But welcome back to another episode of Phantasy Star Online 2. This was supposed to have happened yesterday, but we ran into some technical difficulties because they just did the Halloween update for this year. It is October 9th, 2025. So yesterday, October 8th, the servers went live again after they did an overnight patch on the 7th to the 8th for the Halloween stuff. But of course, just like when I first started playing this game, for some reason that patch just broke everything. I tried to play the game, it crashed. I tried starting it up again. This all happened yesterday when I was trying to start the stream. And it crashed again, but also crashed the whole computer and made it go into a death loop of blue screen of death over and over. So I had to turn off the computer in between those loops. And then finally I just said, fuck it, I'm getting the PSO2 tweaker. A fan-made launcher. It's basically like the XIV launcher with Dalamud in it and everything. And that was able to actually patch the game properly and make the game fucking work. And so now we can actually play. I already tested it all day today. I was on Pizza Maid's stream earlier and fucking around off stream too. So yeah, we can finally get back into this. So let's do it. We're finally starting episode 6. I was thinking we could probably start episode 6. We had a long break between I know we technically started episode 6 at the last stream, but we also got into like this really long conversation about MMOs and stuff. And then we took a week off right after that to do some leveling on the Affinia server for Phantasy Star Online Blueburst. So I was thinking, you know, to start we could
Good morning, ladies. You like that shit, man? Hey, man, I got a gang of that shit, man. Bruh. He's pulling his cock out.
Well, that's one way to greet us. Hi, Zara. Nice to see you, too. I can't see your face, but that's probably intentional. I think she wanted us to see her other face. Oh, there she is. Hi, Zara. So anyway.
A test of your... Bruh. You suck!
Yeah, scratch-offs. They're a thing. And that, believe it or not, the idle motion she has here and here are both from the same anime crossover. I've never heard of it since I don't watch a lot of anime, but Atelier Yumiya, I think it's called. I thought it was Atelier Yumiya, but maybe I'm making it sound too fancy. Either way, these idle motions are both from there. And yeah, we have a light and a dark Zara now. See? White cape. Black cape. White wings, black wings. Both with red, of course. But yeah. Anyway, so I was saying, I think we should start with, a small recap of what happened at the end of episode 5. So, the mission, well, cutscene should be more like, right? Right after, at the end of episode 5, right after the credit sequence. I think we'll retouch on that. And also the intro to episode 6, but also we gotta watch the trailer. I completely skipped over that when we started episode 6 last time. So, oh, they got the same Halloween music here as they do in NGS. Okay. Yeah, see, we got Halloween decorations. It's spooky season.
Hello there.
Hello there.
The spookies have started. It's not too different, I gotta say, the vibe of this music. Not terribly different from, like, the dark Chow Garden music in Sonic Adventure 2.
Well done.
It's a different vibe, it's its own thing, but there's, like, echoes of it. There's, like, a slight echo. Not a literal echo, of course, I just mean, like, a light inspiration. It's very loose, but I kind of hear it a little bit. Either way, kind of nice. Got the spooky season in full effect. Hieronymus. That's actually a cool look. I didn't know you could actually dress up like Matoi when she's turning into the profound darkness.
Need something?
That's kind of neat. I like the hair with the glasses though. That caught my eye more than anything on that character to know. Ah, anyway. Oh, well, okay. Here we go. Somebody's getting into the spirit of the music. These two are matching. Super white and silver. Anyway, what episode did I...
Which quest are you up for?
Change settings, switch episodes. Okay, good. We're on episode 6. All right. Well, like I said, let's recap a little bit of what happened at the end of episode 5, and then rewatch. Well, actually, watch the trailer. I haven't seen the trailer for episode 6, and then rewatch the intro for it. That way we can get the. Well, for those of you watching on YouTube, just skipping from the last video to this one, you're gonna be like, oh, I already saw this, right? But for me, it's been a minute because, like I said, we took a week off for Affinia, and when we started episode 6 last time, we kind of just. We watched the first cutscene and then immediately went on to talk about MMOs and the state of FF14 and this game, and it just went completely off the rails. In the best way, though. I liked that conversation. That was with Pizza Made Atlantis. I don't regret that. I think it was a conversation that I kind of wanted to have with someone already for a while. I've been itching to have that conversation with someone, so it was nice. But yeah, I need a bit of a recap before we go into this. So let's see. Episode 5. Should be the last chapter. Chapter 6, thus did the heroes assemble. At the very end. I do like that the ending to chapter 5 was a little bit like the ending of chapter 3. You know? Where, all the heroes came together to help out. You know, like it was like this really big cooperative operation with all the badasses from Marks. It was nice. Okay, so the Legendary Savior was the final boss fight with a lot of cutscenes and the credit sequence. I'm gonna start from here. The end of a legend. I think these were... What were these? These were the raid. We did that. I'll probably rewatch these two just to hear the commentary again, but we're not redoing the raid. We already did that. This just shows the ending of it, and this is like the intro to it or something like that. These 3 scenes here. Yeah. So yeah, let's just watch this, and then these 3, which are super short, and then we'll watch the episode 6 trailer. And go from there. So we'll start with the end of a legend. Am I forgetting anything? No, we're good. I was like, did I forget to comment on something? Did I forget to set something up technically? It's been a while. No, I think we're good.
Welcome back.
A wifey, a toy. Glad to be back, honey.
Shao, what
I'm
happened with the
home.
black hole?
Damn. Dude, I'm trying to tell Matoi that I'm back home, and Sierra immediately cuts me off.
No need to worry. Right before you guys came back, it vanished.
Bruh.
I was gonna say, do you have any pancakes ready for me? And the reason I asked for that, or I asked that specifically, like why pancakes, because somebody recently said that in somebody else's chat, and they're like, man, I wish my girlfriend, because their girlfriend, they're a long distance thing right now. He said, there's times like this where I wish my girlfriend was living here with me right now. Because, like, I'm really in the mood for pancakes, all snuggled up in bed, but I don't want to actually have to get up to get pancakes, he said. Obviously implying that he would want to ask, like, his girlfriend to, you know, make him some pancakes or something, right? It was really cute. So that's where my mind went as soon as I saw Matoi and was like, I'm home, honey. You got some pancakes?
Bruh.
I know. Anyway,
I also got word that Earth's black hole disappeared at the same time.
me and Matoi gotta play house someday.
Does that mean Omega is gone too?
Omega was created by the Akashic Records, so it'll continue to exist over there. But the threat has passed. You guys did some great work. The universe is saved. Leave the rest to me.
You son son of a bitch.
Well, what about Persona the Mask?
The reading has completely vanished. Nothing from Nefarious either.
Oh, right. Sometimes I'm used to it auto-scrolling
Based solely
so
on the
much that
data,
I,
it's safe to conclude they're gone.
no auto-scroll yet.
Of course, that doesn't change the fact that Persona lent you their strength.
I was gonna go grab the trailer for episode 6 while this played, but it's still asking me to hit X.
Yeah, I can feel it too. It's not clear, but it's there. I can feel them within you.
You can feel the other me within me?
A warmth that wasn't there before. You've advanced, even just a little bit.
Aw, thank you, honey. I know, I'm being extra cheesy.
You and Matoy must be exhausted. Go ahead and get some rest.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, and you're gonna get yelled at if you don't get a medical check.
You should get some too, Sierra. I'll handle the bridge.
But why?
You've been constantly involved with resolving issues on uncountable worlds. I'd say a little vacation is in order.
Yeah, I got the trailer ready. I can half pay attention because I've seen this already, but...
I never thought I'd live to see the day where Xiao would use such kind words towards me.
Right?
Had some ups and downs along the way, but all's well that ends well.
Yeah!
Indeed. I wish to thank you once more for all your efforts on Omega.
Surprise, motherfucker.
You should only exist on Omega. What are you doing here?
You and I are similar beings. That's all.
You gotta really pay attention to what he's saying.
Guardian, please, come with me. Let us go greet my master.
So they remember everything, even though it played out differently for them.
Varuna, what is it that you're after?
Gio's already like, this guy's hella
Me?
sus.
I'm not after anything. I simply serve the will of my master. That is an unchanging, unflinching fact.
And when he appeared like this
Everything
last time,
I do is for my master.
I was like, holy shit, like, what the fuck is going on? What is he doing here? And why does he look like that? You know?
Thus, with the guidance of their just ruler, the sacred magical kingdom of Epicuento overcame its hardships and enjoyed peace everlasting. Harriet became a name that would go down in Omegan history. With the strength provided by her friends, she found salvation by putting her trust in others. But that's not how history actually unfolded. The real story was quite different.
Beautiful bedtime story, though.
Something you're all too aware of, I'm sure.
Big time waifu.
What?
He's pulling his...
Harriet?
That was all a dream. None of it actually happened. In reality, there was no one to save them. Your saving
Doesn't
her
have the pointy
in
ears,
that
by the way.
dream has allowed me to be here, however. For that kindness, I've come to thank you.
What in the world?
It takes an enormous amount of energy to cross dimensions, you know.
Yeah, just
That
ask
black
Rahatia.
hole had more than enough power to create an entire world. And I absorbed every last bit of it as it vanished. That's how I was able to return. That's why I'm here.
Just who are you?
Are you stalling for time, Sierra?
As always, you're declaring
Quite objective.
They blocked it!
Just who rise, motherfucker?
This one's 0 to 100 so fucking fast. Hell yeah, dude! Fucking Dragon Ball Z style over here. I'm sure there's been plenty of other animes that have done it.
And get violence and anger in return. That hurts, you know.
A test of your reflexes.
Should have played that before the fighting started. She gave us shift up.
It seems the time has come.
Indeed. This time, I get to be the one doing the saving.
My first thought was definitely that was probably Harriet, but I also thought, you know, maybe not. Maybe it's some other kind of plot twist. The gun, I mean. The sentient gun. I was like, well, that's either Harriet or, you know.
Nothing we do is getting through.
Some other surprise or character I forgot about.
But they're just absorbing the blows.
Is that all you've got? How unfortunate. I only wanted to thank you, but if you can't offer much of a fight, perhaps I should just end it all right here.
The wife, no!
Surprise, motherfucker.
Kinda disappointing for a shot from her blind spot. But I guess she is the goddess of annihilation. Maybe try damaging her next time?
But I did damage her, which proves she's not invincible. Now I get it. You only put your soul into a vessel. So, the dream of the Akashic Records was correct after all. But you cling to life with the most unbecoming desperation.
That stare.
Shall we go ahead and get introductions out of the way then?
Risa gives no fucks. Pulls out her throne.
Hear me, universe. My name is Shiva, goddess of annihilation.
Exactly,
Long
Lentis.
ago, I was sacrificed for the world. But listen well. This time around, you shall be sacrificed for me. Vessel of the universe, born of the Akashic Records, I will break you and the universe both. I was born of the beginning, and you were born of the end. When all is said and done, not even the Akashic Records know which one of us will yet remain.
You're on, lady. Take your ass out. So yeah, that was a post-credit scene for episode 5. Good shit. This happened way earlier in episode 5. Where the hell is Alma, though? Now that I think about it. Maybe we'll see her a little bit later in episode 6. We've only seen the first cutscene, so... I was like, did she never come back? Did I miss something in one of the previous scenes? Like, is she gone? I don't know. Hi, Atlantis. Welcome to the stream. Cozy story time. I already missed the fact that this isn't a thing in episode 6. You see the background with the music and everything? They didn't even do this at all. They didn't even give episode 6 its own, like, dude, it's the grand finale. It's the final send-off for PSO2, and they didn't give it its own, like, little background thing, you know? For this little story sequence. The story menu, it doesn't get something like this. It just goes back to the generic shit from episode 1 through 4. As you'll see in a minute. So this introduced the post-game raid, which has Shiva make comments about it too. So we'll go ahead and watch these two, and then we'll watch the episode 6 trailer. I remember when Shiva said that, I was like, oh, of course, so she's the other one. Like, there was two, like, very early on in the game, somewhere in episode 1 through 3, there was, like, Elmir, who turned into Persona the Masked. He became the post-game raid. They had mentioned that there was two different like test subject type characters that they used, the photoners back in the day when they were trying to replicate Shion's like powers. And they made a copy of her, which they then rejected and tossed out into space, and that was Mother from episode 4. But then they also mentioned that they had basically used someone else as a sacrifice to seal the profound darkness or something, when they like had awoken it or something along those lines. I can't remember the full story. They're gonna recap it at the start of episode 6. I remember that in the cutscene, and that's basically supposed to be Shiva, and that's why she's fucking pissed. I mean, just like Mother was, and you know, she also wanted revenge against the Photoners for what they did back then. So their stories, you know, their backstories aren't too different. They both have a bone to pick with the Photoners, but since the Photoners aren't here, they're just gonna take it out on their descendants, which is us. That's as much as I remember from what we heard in episode 1 through 3 when they would talk about what happened in the past.
Now this is interesting. That was supposed to serve as my sustenance. I never expected it to take form once more. Lingering regrets, perhaps? Or has it been lured in by the soul? A perfect sacrificial pawn, in any event. Now then, Arx, do you care to prove your strength? Let's begin. You won't be vanquished quite so easily, I imagine.
Yeah, that introduced the raid, then we did the raid, and after finishing the raid, we got to see this cutscene. Which I thought would involve Shiva a little bit too, but
I've lost
no.
the Dark Falls signal. But why did it appear in this world
now? You want us to explain why?
Sure.
We don't have a clue.
Not even an inkling.
Persona is fundamentally different from us to begin with.
They're an alternate version of you, so you're barking up the wrong tree.
I should ask myself, is what Gedemholt is saying.
It's true that Persona seem to lend you their power on Omega. However, Persona isn't here.
Rather, there's barely any Persona left.
Hardly anything to them.
Could it be that perhaps this persona was somehow drawn to the remnant inside you?
Abominable, aren't they?
I think that's what Shiva was theorizing at the beginning, yeah. When the hole opened up at the last scene.
The Persona you fought has no soul. Nothing but a husk. But there's still a Dark Falls. Leave them be, and the universe will be corrupted soon enough. Can't very well stand idly by, can you?
That wasn't supposed to be Elmir either. It was just some shadow of Persona that we fought in that
They
raid.
keep getting more powerful, making everything worse, huh?
Oh, so much worse. Why do you have so much pull anyway?
Didn't tell you. Sorry, kid. I don't know.
Well, you better try your best. After all, if you die, I go with you.
Oh, that would be a shame, yeah. They're like, yeah, us too. Gedemholt being the edgelord over there, having his back towards us. So his collar on his jacket can cover his mouth to make him look edgier, you know? And that was it. All right, now we can actually watch the we can watch the trailer for episode 6. We totally skipped over that last time. I totally forgot. So, let me see. Saved it. There it is. Also, right before we watch it, just to have proper context of this, I looked it up before, but I forgot because it's been over a week. When did this release? ESO2, episode 6 release date. Okay, so Phantasy Star Online 2's episode 6 was released on December 9th of 2020. I was balls deep into FF14 at that point. I was just barely starting it. For the Phantasy Star Online 2 global service, but it was released on November 11th of 2019, like almost a full year before that, for the Japanese service. Oh, and so that's an important distinction because I wanted to see... Yeah, it's the final story episode for the Oracle Saga. The main story of this game. When did NGS release by comparison? I want to know how much of a gap there was between episode 6 and NGS in both Japan and here. PSO2 NGS release date. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis was globally released on June 9th, 2021 for North America and Japan, with a subsequent release on PlayStation 4 on August 31st, 2022. Wait, so it came out this... That's not what I saw last time. Did it really? Oh, I guess it did. I must have misread last time. I thought they were different release dates. So New Genesis was actually released at the same exact time for both, like, the global release and the Japan release, because Japan has its own servers. It's segregated. That's probably, from what I've heard, that's probably the reason why they actually have anti-cheat for this game. Because the version we're playing, the global version, is not tied to Japan servers, and apparently it's only illegal, allegedly, to have anti-cheat in Japan. So the Japan servers probably doesn't have it. That's what I've heard, because that's what people keep talking about whenever they talk about like mods and stuff with FF14. It keeps saying, because there in FF14 the Japanese servers are on the same exact service as the rest of the global release. It's only China servers that are segregated. So you can go to the Japanese servers from the global, you know, like they're the same service. And so it made me think, if that's actually true, what people keep saying, that it's illegal to have anti-cheat in Japan, and that might be the only reason why we don't have anti-cheat in FF14, basically. If they ever chose to segregate the Japanese servers and make it its own service, like the China service for FF14, then they could, I'm guessing at that point, they could actually put anti-cheat into FF14. I'm guessing. But I don't know. I've never actually verified if it's true. I just always see people say that whenever that discussion comes up in FF14. They're like, oh, there's no anti-cheat because Japan doesn't allow it, you know. So that's why I'm saying, I'm guessing that's why we have anti-cheat in this game, because we're playing the global version, which is separate from the Japan servers. So that makes sense, you know. Anyway, so I got off track there. NGS was released on June 9th, 2021. So that was... Oh, 2021. So Japan had to wait a while. Yeah, if episode 6 came out on November 11, 2019, but I'm guessing they still had patches come out with like a little, you know, extra content and stuff between episode 6's launch, and I don't know how they did it. I'll have to look into it, but I'm assuming just by the way the story has played out after, like, I want to say episode 3 and beyond, that the story kind of came out more segmented, starting with episode 4. You know, so episode 4, 5, and 6. I'm assuming 6. We haven't played it yet. But I'm assuming, just based on how I saw episode 4 and 5 play out, that the story just kind of came out in segments. Like, you didn't just get the whole thing front to back, start to finish, when the episode launched. I could be wrong, maybe it did. I haven't researched that, though, because I'm trying to avoid spoilers, and sometimes you can accidentally run into them looking that stuff up. But I'm assuming it came out segmented, like the post-expansion storylines for FF14, you know, like the point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5 main scenario quest in FF14 is what I'm talking about. I'm assuming it kind of came out like that, starting from episode 4 and 5, because those episodes are really, really long. So it's hard for me to think that all that content came out all at once, you know? I was like, no, there were probably like little checkpoints and where it would just stop and you'd have to wait for another patch for the story to continue. Again, just an assumption. I don't know. But assuming that it did work that way, maybe it didn't feel that long for the Japanese service. If just the first part of episode 6 came out on November 11th, 2019, and then the rest of the story sort of came out in segments after that, maybe it ended close to when NGS came out. I don't know. Either way, December 9th, 2020 is when Global got episode 6, and then half a year later, in June 9th of 2021, everyone got NGS. Global and Japan got NGS like about half a year later after that. Yeah, apparently the Western release of PSO2 had all 6 episodes coming out like one at a time, but very, very fast, because they were catching up to the Japanese service basically. Which I think that's fucking awesome, because then it's like you didn't have to wait. You didn't have to wait that long for the next story content. It just came out right away. You know, and they did that because they wanted it to sync up with the Japanese service in story before they launched NGS for both. And then everyone's on the same page, like story-wise and everything. Everyone's all caught up basically. The global service, the Japanese service, it's all synced up. It would have been nicer if the Western or global release would have happened in 2013 like Sega had originally announced for the classic PSO2 that we're playing now, but hey, I'll take it. It's better than nothing that they released it eventually. Better late than never, I always say. Not for all things, not always. But for this, yeah, I'm grateful for that. It's better late than never. And if I had been there for the launch of this, if I'd fallen into this game instead of FF14, if I'd been aware of it, and would have played this instead, I would have been happy to see the story come out that quickly, because then I wouldn't have had to wait so long to like get through all 6 episodes and see what's going on, you know? But I never heard about this game until... I think it was until I saw somebody, a very small streamer that I happened to follow at the time, started playing it, and I was like, oh, there's a PSO2? But I can't remember when that was. That might have been like 2021, right? I think that might have been when NGS released in 2021. Yeah, in summer of 2021. I might have just glanced at my, you know, the little sidebar on Twitch and was like, wait, PSO2? What the fuck? Oh, I didn't know they made a PSO2. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Okay, so there we go. I have context. December 9th of 2020, and then half a year later, NGS, June 9th, 2021. Let's watch the trailer. Basically, people had about 6 months to enjoy episode 6's story content and, well, everything else it offered, not just the story, before NGS launched. Let's see what this was like. Oh, let me catch up on chat. Lenta says, China has really heavy government-regulated censorship, so it has to get filtered before being released there. And then I'm guessing that was a while ago, and then now you know, released the game in 2013 like you promised. Yeah, I still say better late than never, but yeah, it is kind of shitty that they didn't do that, yeah. I do agree with you. I don't know why they didn't. I really think that was a mistake. And not just because, you know, oh, I wanted it then, you know. I think they honestly... It could have given, I don't want to say like it could have been like a head-to-head competitor with FF14, but it would have given some people an alternative. Like, I think if this game had come out in 2013, which is when Realm Reborn for FF14 launched, there would probably be more crossover. Honestly. I think there would be more crossover fans between the two games. But as it stands now, because they released it so late, you hardly... I mean, you'd be lucky to find anybody in FF14 that even knows what the hell this game is. They wouldn't even know it existed. And yeah, they're completely different playstyles. Like, this is an action RPG, and FF14, you know, this is an action RPG MMO. FF14, I don't know what you would call that combat style. You know, they're both MMOs, though. But yeah, I think there would be more crossover between them if they had actually come out together. I don't know why Sega backed out on that. My only guess is maybe they felt it wouldn't be able to compete with like FF14 and other MMOs? I don't know. It's really weird that they did that. Anyway, and yeah, China servers for every MMO are always their own thing. Yeah, because it's, you know, like Lantis just said, yeah, it's heavily, everything's controlled over there. Everything's very censored and strict. When you're an adult, they give you a VPNs if you want to check out what's happening outside the country and stuff like that. But if you don't use a VPN, you only see whatever they want you to see, basically. So the government gives you a VPN so you can actually see what's really going on outside the country. once you're of age. But when you're underage, when you're still a child, you can only see the censored internet that China shows you, basically. That the Chinese government will allow you to see. So it makes sense that all the MMOs have to have their own service. I've seen that for every MMO that's come out, like both here and in China. China will always have its own service. I saw it for MapleStory, Dungeon Fighter. China always has its own service. Yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, let's watch this damn trailer, but before I even hit play on it, I gotta switch the screen over. Shit, I gotta make it its own tab. Where is it? Please don't give me shit. No, don't make it a... Just make it its own tab. Fucking... Opera, what are you doing? Thank you. Jesus. It was like trying to do this split screen thing instead. I was like, no, dude, that's not what I'm telling you to do. Come on. Okay, this should work. Let's switch over. Now let me mute the game real quick. I think I can just go to global focus audio instead. Other settings. Oh god, I hate that NGS and PSO2 have different settings screens. Like it's completely... All the settings are in a slightly different spot. Shit. Playback? Oh, there it is, on their playback settings. Global focus sound playback, off. Apply. Now the sound should turn off when I click somewhere else. There we go. Perfect. It saves me from having to turn the volume sliders down, you know? Okay. Now we can start this. Never seen this before, let's see. Hit the button. Oh shit! Starting off with some kick-ass anime intro music. We still see a lot of the same characters from the previous trailers. And there's a main character, the main character insert, who was absent in episode 5. Had a completely different protagonist for that trailer. Some red-haired guy, I don't know. Is that what's his name wearing golden armor? Is he gonna get an upgrade? Oh shit! Regius. Yeah, is that Regius? Phantasy Star Online 2. Episode 6, I should say. Right on. Alright, not bad. They kept it relatively spoiler-free, too. Unlike previous trailers. Well, none of them were too... Yeah, actually, none of them were really that spoilery. I guess some of the early ones kind of were, actually. But not really. They were never that bad. That's pretty cool. That was a great intro for episode 6. Alright. Red versus blue? Oh, hold on. You were saying... Oh, hold on. Let me read this whole thing. World of Warcraft is a fun one because skeletons and exposed bone isn't allowed. So all the undead race and a ton of enemies had to get censored? Oh, in China? I'm guessing you're still talking about China, right? That's interesting. Well, good thing Japan doesn't have that same level of, we never would have got Resident Evil. I love how Resident Evil is one of those franchises that, even though it's made in Japan, Capcom made it, you know, which is a Japanese company, it's more popular everywhere else except in Japan. Like, and they know that. They cater it towards a Western audience because from the very beginning, it always did appeal more to a Western audience. The whole zombie thing just never, even though it's not censored in Japan like it is in China, according to what Lantis just said, it's never really appealed too much to Japan. Like, there's some appeal to it, but for the most part, they're kind of just like meh when it comes to zombie stuff. I mean, even here in the West, there was the first Resident Evil movie, the one with Mila Jovovich as the main character, you know, Alice. The first Resident Evil movie was the first zombie movie in like 20 or 30 years. So like even here, zombies were kind of just falling out of favor as a thing basically until Resident Evil brought it back. Capcom did that shit, like culturally. Biohazard, yeah, that might be some of the that might be part of the problem, Lantis, is that in Japan they saw that as the title of the game and were like, what? But I was gonna say that I think it's really funny that it had more appeal, and maybe they expected this, but I think it's really funny that Resident Evil ended up having Biohazard, whatever, I'm talking about the game, not the title, that it had more appeal in the West, seeing as that Capcom made it with the intention of making it a parody of Western horror films. Like, Resident Evil was supposed to be goofy and wacky because it was supposed to be making fun of B horror movies. And so I remember as a kid when Resident Evil 1 first came out and people at my school were talking about it and stuff. They're like, oh, have you played it? They're like, it's so scary, but it's also like really cheesy, they would say. I didn't know anything about cinema back then. Looking back now, I'm like, so they achieved their goal. That was exactly what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it a cheesy action horror flick kind of vibe. Like the gameplay, yeah, it's survival horror, but it was meant to be like a horror movie, you know? I think I only said action because of the fact that, you know, obviously you're killing zombies with guns and stuff like that. But obviously the vibe is meant to be a lot more slow-paced. Like, you know, like a more slow-paced horror movie. But that's what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a parody of a cheesy, bad horror movie that was Western. That's why the intro to Resident Evil is, you know, all done by American actors and everything. Actually, I don't know if they're all American, but, you know, like, it's not Japanese is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't take place in Japan. The characters are not supposed to be Japanese. It's supposed to be American characters. The characters, at least, are supposed to be American. And everything. Like, it's just really funny, like, how they did that, and it actually caught on in the West and became its own cultural phenomenon, getting movies and shit that became super popular. It's kind of neat. I watched Shaun of the Dead. It was alright. I do remember people saying, like, many years ago when I finally got inspired to watch it, because I kept hearing people, even though it was already an old movie by the time I heard about it or decided to watch it, sorry. I remember people wouldn't stop. People within that culture of liking zombie films would always bring it up as a good parody zombie movie. I watched it. I thought it was okay. I think it's just some of the humor was just kind of like, huh? Like, it just kind of was like, oh, okay. Like, for me, I don't know. But it wasn't bad. Not by any means. Yeah, it was good. But I definitely didn't have the same reaction, or maybe it just got overhyped for me. As whenever I would hear other people talk about it, it would be like, oh my god, that movie was so good. I was just kind of like, that was okay, I guess. You know. Yeah, I did like that it was like that. The fact that it was dumb as hell, like, that's what made it funny, definitely. But I didn't walk away with that impression that so many other people were giving me, that it was like, oh my god, it's like the funniest thing ever. I was just like, it was funny, but... British humor isn't for everyone. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, yeah, it was funny, but I didn't find it like, oh my god, my sides are hurting. No. It wasn't that funny for me, you know? I don't want to keep, like, getting distracted, but speaking of zombie parody movies, What was that one that came out with that one guy? That one kid that was in a lot of movies. Zombieland. You grew up watching BBC, so it was right up your alley. Yeah, there you go. It's a cultural thing for sure. Zombieland, a slightly more modern zombie parody, and obviously not British. What's funny about that movie, rather than the movie itself, for me anyway, this is a personal thing, is that I actually learned how to properly fire a gun from that one scene in that movie, where one of the characters teaches the youngest character, this girl, that you're supposed to exhale when you're gonna pull the trigger. He was teaching her how you're supposed to use a gun, and I was like, I wonder if that's a real thing. I hadn't fired any guns at all at that point in my life, and years later it always stuck with me, and I was like, I wonder if that's actually true. I have followed the advice of that movie, and I've gotten bullseyes from a pretty good distance firing guns for the very first time. And I only know that because the people who are like guiding me through it, because I've only fired guns under supervision, they're always like, holy shit, you have pretty good aim. And I was like, well, it's my first time even firing that gun. They're like, really? I was like, yeah. And in my head I was like, I literally just followed what I heard in Zombieland. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Lantis. I think Resident Evil brought back zombie media, like, because when I heard that there hadn't been a single zombie movie in the West in like 20 to 30 years before the very first Resident Evil movie, which I think was in 2001. I think it was in 2000 or 2001 when that movie came out. I mean, I think that's awesome that movie sparked, like, because after Resident Evil was so popular, they came out with fucking, what was it, 28 Days Later, and then that had a sequel 28 Weeks Later. They came out with, they remade one of, what's his name's old movies? Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember his name, rest in peace. What's his name? George Romero. The Dawn of the Dead. They did a remake of Dawn of the Dead. All those, like, so many zombie movies came out after Resident Evil because it kicked off so much. Like, Resident Evil was so goddamn popular, it just completely brought back the zombie media, and it's still echoing to this day. You know, the Walking Dead came out, and all that was kicked off by Resident Evil back in 2000. And The Walking Dead, like, the original show might be over, but it made 11 seasons. It went from like 2011 or 2012 all the way to like just a couple of years ago. Fucking crazy. And the ending left open for new stories, which they're now exploring with some of the characters from that show. Like, the original show's over, but a lot of the characters from the original show now have their own like spin-off sequels. They're still keeping the Walking Dead universe storyline going, basically. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's kind of cool that Capcom did that. I was like, holy shit, dude. Just by making the video game Resident Evil and it getting popular enough to get a movie, it sparked the comeback of zombie media in like the modern day. It's like the last zombie movie before that was literally almost, I don't think it was in black and white, but it was like close to that era before Resident Evil. I think that's fucking awesome.
Hello there.
Hi, Shao. Alright. Let's restart episode 6 again. We watched the trailer. Let's rewatch this emergency command meeting and pay close attention to the story. I like how we still ended up rambling and going off on a tangent on something completely unrelated. But that was my fault. I mean, I literally... When you said that, when Lantis said that that like undead stuff is censored in China, I just for some reason just went off on like Japan, the difference between China and Japan, and then that made me talk about Resident Evil, which I love Resident Evil and I'm a huge fan of the franchise, so I couldn't help myself, and then we just went off on like 15 minutes. Okay, so this is February 11th, 10 a.m. AP something 242. After Photoners 242, I'm guessing. Hey, this music is definitely done in the same style as the music of the trailer we just saw. GG, Leon. Thanks. I was like, GG. I like this intro. It reintroduces all the characters. For the grand finale of the story. Which has a noticeably different musical style, I can already tell. Between the trailer and this, it completely switched up the music.
Wow! How long has it been since we all came together like this? And with so many guests, too!
Yeah!
Okay. This isn't the time.
Son of a bitch.
Look at this dude.
I know. Just trying to help everyone relax. Let's just start the meeting, shall we?
Yes.
The topic is Shiva, goddess of annihilation. We'll begin with what we currently know.
By your leave, I'll keep it concise. May I tell them everything, Shao?
Of course. If they aren't informed, there won't be anything to discuss.
No more secrets, eh?
Shiva and her cohorts assaulted the Ark's ship. We have reason to believe that the attackers are Photoners.
Photoners again, huh? But why are they hostile to Arcs?
What?
In a voice recording, she said, "I once was sacrificed for the universe." Combining the data we have, we believe she is referring to when the profound darkness was originally sealed by the Photoners.
Yeah, that. They talked about that in episode 2 or 3, I think.
With Aurora as well. She was not familiar with Shiva herself, but confirmed that such an event did indeed occur.
She was imbued with photons and used as bait to seal the profound darkness in subspace. A living sacrifice. And now she's returned?
If her words are to be truly believed, then yes. But perhaps we should be asking those who have crossed blades with her.
Yeah, I sensed an unusual power. She's pretty fucking strong.
It wasn't just Shiva. The ones with her were in another league as well. It would make a lot of sense if they were Photoners.
Shiva defied expectations the most. She was utterly unfazed by our attacks.
I wonder. It was almost like she absorbed them all. Well, duh. That's not surprising. That's the way she was made, after all.
I like Risa's new drip. It's way more revealing, but I mean, she's a cast, so it doesn't really like,
What do you mean by that?
But it looks really damn cool.
She was made to hold all the photons of the Photoners inside her. Can you even imagine how many that is?
I really
Can you? It's so many!
The shoulder pads. They kept the silhouette from her old armor.
Well, after having taken a look at both of you, I think you're pretty weird yourself, honestly.
Thanks.
What do you mean? Risa, just what is it that you know?
Yeah, what the hell?
I will explain. Risa, may I borrow your body?
Yup. Go right ahead. Wake me up if a fight breaks out, though.
Exactly, Lantis. I was about to say earlier, Lantis is already getting pissed at Theodore's voice acting. Yes, Risa's the best psychopath waifu. Yandere waifu.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Harriet, one of the Photoners, as you call them.
Even her eyes are a little smaller when she's in Harriet consciousness.
Guardian.
They're not like, you know.
I have met you once before. Do you remember?
Episode 3, yeah, that was you. Yeah, see, I really like that they kept the same silhouette with their shoulders. Even though they changed it up a little bit, her armor, it still has the pointed spike shoulder thing going. I really like that because, I don't know, for some reason, for like robotic, I guess, kind of characters, that I think that's a really cool look. I mean, even Regius has it. I'm forgetting if it's pronounced Regius or Regius. But like a lot of Mega Man X's armors, the capsule armors will have that look too, where it has like the spiked shoulder pads. I think it looks really fucking cool. or like robot characters in particular. I think it looks really cool. But yeah, when Matoi vanished.
Yes. I must have given you quite the shock.
Yeah, I thought Risa had become normal.
My mind was yet in a residual state. I did not even know I was Harriet, nor did I possess a clear will, as I do now. It was all I could do just to speak. I'm glad everything turned out well in the end.
Yeah, we saved Matoi. Thanks to your encouraging words.
Shiva and I are like opposites, in a way. It is her arrival that has allowed me to speak with all of you.
Come again? Are you related to her somehow?
A soul that inexplicably took up residence in an empty vessel. That is me, the artificial being, Harriet. A photonic vessel created to contain everything, including the profound darkness. An embodiment of the end. Shiva, goddess of annihilation. We are close, and yet light years away. At the end of the Photoner era, civilization reached its zenith. They replaced their bodies as needed, devaluing physical forms. Society revolved around the use of photons. However, they were not so enlightened as to abandon their bodily vessels entirely, and so they sought after the ultimate vessel.
Thank you for the follow, Jason.
One scientist created a vessel, but opted not to use it,
Luther.
treating it as a person instead. He conversed with this mute vessel until it finally developed a heart, awakening to the power of photons. This distillation of technology possessed a spirit and a power, an extraordinary power, entirely unique. The scientist was pleased. He had created not a replica, but an independent, parallel being, one on par with the Akashic records. However, that was precisely when the final replica of the Akashic records, the Profound Darkness, was born. To seal the Profound Darkness, a vessel equal to the Akashic records was required. That was me. But a heart was unnecessary. My soul, my heart, was removed, and photons were compressed into the now empty vessel. A will to control all photons was born, and that is Shiva, goddess of annihilation. You know the rest. Shiva achieved total photonic absorption and vanished into subspace with the Profound Darkness.
Okay, we finally got a small pause. Just want to say thanks for the follow, JJasonC. I appreciate that. It's just right when you followed, it went on an auto scroll for like a long ass time. I didn't want to interrupt the story too much more than I already have, so. But I appreciate that. Thank you for the follow.
And now, she has returned once again. She has become a threat to the entire universe, just as the scientist once predicted.
Harriet, how are you here? And what's your relationship with Risa?
After losing my vessel, I was doomed to vanish. But the Akashic records saved me. They rolled my soul into their seas and gave me a new vessel. A cosmogenic arm.
When she says Akashic records, she basically means Shion.
The first cosmogenic arm to be created. That was me.
Yeah, so Shion turned her into a weapon.
As for the Risa you all know and love, I think you've heard the story before.
Yes.
Once
I do remember.
upon a time, I was a test subject for a project to create photon-compatible bodies. They did a whole lot of research studying mechanical life forms on the down low. These days, everybody calls us casts. And you know who was the very first one? It was me. Pretty straightforward, right?
Maria's like, yeah.
But since I was
And
the very
Regis.
first, I was super unstable. More unstable than anything. Just the most unstable you could possibly be. Unstable soul Risa, unstable vessel Harriet. Two became one, and gosh, everything just balanced out somehow. Harriet didn't really get back her form and faculties until just recently, though. Until then, she was basically sleeping.
It is as Risa says. I am only awake now because of how the situation on Omega resolved.
Yeah, Atlantis. Unstable is an understatement for sure. Yandere girlfriend, Risa.
My soul was rescued there and transformed into a goddess. And so, here we are.
So somehow what happened on Omega affected her outside of Omega here. This version of her here with Risa. It impacted her and she remembers everything that happened on Omega too. Everything we did in episode 5. That's interesting.
Risa and I have spent a long time together. I as a cosmogenic arm, and she as a cast. The appearance of the Dark Falls Collective. The fall of the Photoners. The birth of Arcs. We have seen it all.
Why didn't you mention any of this? If you had said something, we could have been prepared.
Well,
You didn't trust Arcs, did you?
Very perceptive, Admiral. To me,
Actually, though, yeah.
Arcs and the Photoners were doing the exact same thing. Which meant they'd only repeat history. I figured it best for you to just kill, until you killed each other out of existence. Until I met you, that is.
Guardian, you did everything in your power to save just one soul, and Arcs supported you, even after arriving in a completely unfamiliar place. You stepped in to help those who wished for salvation.
Omega, yeah.
I hate Fullspawn. And I hate the Photoners too. But I like everyone in Arcs. And you as well, of course.
Oh.
So
I like it too,
I
Harriet.
don't want you to make the same mistake. That's the reason why I'm here. To walk together with Arcs, shoulder to shoulder.
I also really like those two little like antenna looking things that they put on her head. Episode 6, Chapter 0. How do we resist the demise? Resisting the end. That's a very, very good question. And that was a long ass intro for episode 6 that we saw last time. But now we got to see the trailer too. Alright, we'll watch, depending on how long they are, 1 or 2 more at least. Because I rambled again. Not as much as last time, but you know. We can actually make some progress. Goddess of Annihilation strategy meeting. So, again, it's important to try to pay attention to every single detail if you can. Because obviously, they're referencing shit that they talked about in like back in episode 2 or 3, right? When they mentioned that somebody was sacrificed to seal the profound darkness, and that was basically Harriet. But she was removed from her body, and they put Shiva in it instead, which is a profound darkness. They made Shiva take her body, and then they sealed her away that way, right? And then Harriet was left without a body, she was gonna vanish, and Shion, the Akashic Records, gave her a new body, quote unquote, in that gun, that cosmogenic arm. I think they said this, but I think I might have had a moment of distraction, so I might have missed it. I think they said, but like I said, I might have missed it, that how they ended up, how the cosmogenic arm was handed off to Risa. I don't know if they said it. They just said they put them together. They had the cosmogenic arm Harriet in that gun, and they just gave it to Risa because they just said, fuck it, why not? They're both unstable. But how did, I don't know if they said how Arx got a hold of, the cosmogenic arm. Like, did Shion just give it to them? It's probably something as simple as that, because Shion has, as far as I know, Shion was the one who started Arx. She's been with Arx the whole time. She was, you know, integrated into the mothership herself. So I guess, you know, when she made Harriet into a cosmogenic arm, she just handed it off to Arx, and then Arx just gave it to Risa, the first cast a long time ago. I do wonder, I think something's probably getting lost in translation a little bit here, but I do wonder why Regius and Maria reacted the way they did when Risa brought up how casts are made. I wasn't sure what to make of the reaction. They didn't say anything. They just kind of changed their posture a little bit. Yeah, a long time ago, Risa told us that they would take, like, newborn babies who had too much power for manipulating photons that was unstable or something like that, and that it would probably kill them or something. And so they would just take their souls from their bodies and put them into a cast instead. They would just turn the human baby into a cast or something like that. It was more or less, that was the gist of it, which was obviously like a shocking thing to hear, and that's why she referenced it now, right? It's like, you know, how casts are made is kind of like, it's a little controversial, let's put it that way. So I'm assuming her bringing that up is why Regius and Maria reacted the way they did, being cast themselves. Obviously they know that, and it probably just makes everyone a little uncomfortable, right? But I don't know, maybe I'm missing something there. Yeah, that's what I got from all this. Alright, so next quest or cutscene, I guess? Still part of the prologue called Resisting the End. Goddess of Annihilation strategy meeting. Oh shit, dropped the controller. AP 242, February 11th, 10:30. It's 30 minutes later.
Right then. Shall we move on to our most pressing issue?
It's bad enough that we don't know the enemy's full strength. But that Shiva lady? Watch out.
Our power comes from photons. If she can just absorb them, there's honestly nothing we can do.
Oh yeah, then they mentioned this too, yeah.
We're working on a countermeasure. Your report, General Affairs.
What do you mean it retcons cast lore? As far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen, this game has no relation to the original Phantasy Star Online or Phantasy Star Universe. So if you're referencing that, I don't think it counts as a retcon per se, because I think this game pretty much just takes place in its own universe. But I don't know.
Huh? You got some kind of plan? If photons are ineffective, we'll slam them with physical weapons instead. AISs are undergoing final checks, and we're preparing for mass production. The Research Bureau is operating at full capacity in order to make it in time for the next attack.
So our next concern is what the bad guys are up to.
Sadly, we lack useful data. Shao is aiding us in our investigation, but we've still been unable to locate them.
It's simply a technology gap. They're adept at concealing and isolating photons, after all.
So good luck predicting their next unruly arrival. We'll have to stay vigilant.
Indeed. The Training in Combat Bureaus will cooperate to ensure we're ready to mobilize.
We've got more operatives now, so we can probably double our normal rotation.
I think that just about covers what we're capable of at the moment.
I have a concern.
What's up?
That Shiva person said the Guardian is the vessel of the universe.
I did catch that in that episode 5 ending scene, yeah. When she said that, I was like, what the hell is she talking about?
What did she mean by that?
Very good question, Matoy. I had the same one in my mind.
Sadly, I'm not entirely sure myself.
I really love this redesign of Harriet. Or sorry, Risa? I guess we can call them Harriet and Risa now. They're just using all the same terminology without anything actually being related to the original Phantasy Star. Yeah. Yeah, like when I did a watch through of Phantasy Star Universe, it was the same kind of thing. It was like a completely, it was implied to be a completely different universe from Phantasy Star Online. Up until we saw the memories of Planet Regal inside of Dark Falls at the very, very end of episode 3 of Phantasy Star Universe. That was when they made a connection with Phantasy Star Online. But it was the same kind of thing for most of the game. It seemed like it was its own lore, its own canon. Like Phantasy Star Online, Phantasy Star Universe, and Phantasy Star 2 Online 2, this one, from what I've seen, are basically completely different timelines and stuff. They're completely different universes and timelines from what I've seen. It's implied that they connect as alternate dimensions, I believe. I think that's what was being implied very subtly at the end of Phantasy Star Universe. But I'm not sure. They keep it kind of vague. They keep it really vague. So I don't know. Anyway, Harriet says, sadly, I'm not entirely sure myself.
For whatever reason, Shiva is targeting the Guardian. That much is certain.
Yeah, she's trying to kill me.
A pressing concern, whatever her reasons.
Well, I'm probably her biggest threat. That's probably why. I mean, that's what I would do. Why wouldn't you try to eliminate the only thing that you feel can be a threat to your life?
For now, make sure you stay with Matoy. You'll be fine, so long as you're together.
I mean, you don't have to tell me. She's the wife. Why wouldn't I want to stay with her?
He's pulling.
All bureaus need to cooperate now, more than ever, and to exercise discretion. Together, we'll see this through.
We're gonna have staycations at home, eating pancakes in bed.
Hey, wait up. Got a minute?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely the intention, Lantis. But then, hold on, but if you agree with that, why do you think it's done then? Because you just said in the last sentence that you didn't like it. Or whether you said that it was done. I'm a little confused. Sarah says, hey, wait up, got a minute? What's up?
So, about those AIS improvements, the researcher in charge wants to see you. I know you're busy, but could you make time to go talk to her? Thanks.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Now we got a bunch of shit opened up. Alma the failure? Oh, I hope that isn't how she feels after how all this turned out. The AIS researchers. Regius's gratitude. He got to... Maybe he's going to talk about Alma a little bit. Maybe. 2 souls in 1 vessel. Whoa. What's up with this? Is it me or... There's something uncanny about this image. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but it kind of looks, she looks very lifelike. Risa. Risa / Harriet, I guess we now have to say. Phantom Reed. A Toil Softy. Oh! Oh, these two, this is where they introduced the other Scion classes. Phantom, Etoile, and I'm guessing Luster will get its intro later. Or maybe Luster was added later on down the road. in episode 6. Maybe Luster's even a post-game sort of thing, like after the story's over. Who knows? We'll find out. But at least I know now they added Phantom and Toil as new job classes right off the bat with episode 6. It's still the same peoples that have traveled light years to get to where they are. Humans, Newmans, and Cass. Yeah, they still use the same races, but they're basically different, completely different dimensions, I think is what they basically tried to do. That's kind of like if you found an alternate universe with humans in it. But, you know, they're technically different humans from us because they're in an alternate timeline or universe, you know? I feel like that's what they did. But like I can see what you're getting at there. Like if they're gonna make all these different timelines and stuff, instead they could have just made new races, right? Instead they use the same ones, but they change the lore behind them. So I get it. I get what you mean now. Because that is, yeah. That does make things a little... That does leave a bad taste for somebody who likes to follow the lore across all the games. I can see how that, you know. Yeah, it's technically, it's different dimensions, different universes, so they're completely different people. Dark Falls manifests in a completely different way in each one of these. Like when they gave the story about how Dark Falls came to be in this game, I knew right off the bat when the whole thing with Shion and the Akashic Records and how the Profound Darkness was made, all that stuff, I was like, okay, this is a completely different continuity. This has nothing to do with Phantasy Star Online 1 and Phantasy Star Universe. This is totally different, basically. I think the Phantasy Star Universe tie-in, I just remembered, there was a key plot element in Phantasy Star Universe where they literally said that Dark Falls was brought in from a different... was trying to be, like, Dark Falls was trying to be, was brought in from a different dimension by, what's his name? The guy who was supposed to be the main villain for the entire Ambition of the Illuminous story, and yet you only see him for like 2 minutes near the end, and then he's just, you know... like the main bad guy doesn't show up till it's almost over. Hauser. That was his name, Hauser, who looks like fucking Ansem from Kingdom Hearts. I'll never forget somebody pointing that out, and it's so true. Yeah, the things they did with the ancients in that storyline, they like something to do with photons. So again, not too different from this. Something to do with photons, and photons ended up summoning like Dark Falls and its kind into this dimension from another dimension, and yada yada. I think that's how they tried to tie it in to the Phantasy Star Online continuity. And so I thought from there, this game was probably gonna sort of continue that. But then it didn't. It just kind of became a whole nother timeline and universe with its own lore, basically. Even though it still uses the same races as Phantasy Star Online, not beasts, of course, and it added a couple new ones. It's obviously, they just made a completely new timeline universe storyline. It's just like with its own lore and thing. Like I think all the races have completely different lore in this than they do in previous Phantasy Star games. It's just a completely different universe and setting. Even Dark Falls has completely different lore in this game from the other Phantasy Star games. Yeah, everything. It's like a... Well, I want to call it a reboot because every time they do a new like little, you know, franchise spin-off, it always seems to become its own thing. Yeah, I don't know. I guess in a way they're trying to be like Final Fantasy. Every game is its own timeline, universe, and storyline. For Final Fantasy, I'm talking about now. But it always has a lot of the same exact monsters. They're in every single one. Like you'll always see behemoths. You know, there's a lot of common monsters that always appear in every single entry of the Final Fantasy franchise. But they all have completely different backstories. They're completely different universes and timelines and everything, you know? The Newmans aren't genetically modified humans with short lifespans anymore? As far as I know, I think the only thing they changed was the lifespan thing. I think they briefly touched on this earlier in episode 2, in an earlier episode of this game. Just like they said in Phantasy Star Universe. Similar to that game, the other races were created from humans, including Numens and Dumans, of course. But I don't think they said anything about Numens having short lifespans. They might have just removed that part for this universe. Because I don't remember them saying anything to that effect when they talked about Numens. And Dumans, for some reason they don't just say Duman, they pronounce it Duman, are just like genetically modified Numens or something that are just like supposed to be more powerful. Or at least that's what it was implied when Theodore started off as a Numen and then he turned into a Duman, which he still is right now. He wanted to change back, but then he couldn't find a way, and then they said it doesn't matter anyway, right? And then he just accepted it. But Luther changed him into a Duman, and they kind of implied that that gave him more power. But they never said anything about lifespans between Numens and Dumans. They just implied that Dumans were a more powerful version of Numens, which I thought was instantly kind of racist. It's like, alright, so now people playing as a Numen are gonna have to feel a little like players who are role-playing their character, their original character as a Numen, are gonna have to feel somewhat inferior to anybody playing as a Duman. That's kind of fucked up. But yeah, I don't know about the lifespan thing. I don't know if they kept that. They might have retconned it, or again, if it's just a different universe, it's technically not a retcon. But if you're looking at the entire franchise of Phantasy Star, yeah, you know, it can count as a retcon for sure. But I'm curious, Lantis, what was the... I remember hearing that lore for Numens in Phantasy Star Online. Do you know what the lore is for casts? I don't fully remember what cast lore is supposed to be in the original Phantasy Star Online. I don't think most of the quests, the story quests we did, even really touched on it. They just kind of implied there were robots that were just built, you know, to do robot things. You know? I don't remember there being a quest that actually dived into it. The most we got was when they talked about Karik. Near the beginning, and then close to when you kill him if you choose that story route. They're like, that guy, that android was built solely for war or something like that. But like, they never really went into... Yeah, I don't think there was ever any quests that explicitly talked about like actual cast lore in that game. So I don't really know much about it. If it's too much to talk about here, you can just send me a DM or something, but I am kind of curious to know what cast lore was in the original PSO. What other race was there? That was it in PSO, right? It was just humans, Numens, and casts. Yeah. Here we have Dumans being like superior Numens. And then, is that it? They didn't bring back beasts from Phantasy Star Universe for some reason. Beasts are exclusive to Phantasy Star Universe. They're not in PSO 1 or PSO 2. Yeah, I don't know. Casts were built to aid humans. Oh, okay, so the lore is pretty simple. They're basically just like robots in real life. Built to help humans, yeah. Okay. It's interesting that here they made them... They gave them a much more backstory, a much more dark backstory in this game. In this game's continuity, where they, you know, what we talked about earlier. A human that was like, had too much photonic power. They put him into a cast so it limits it slightly, but it gives them the ability to control it. And it happens at birth without their consent, basically. But, I mean, because if you're a newborn baby, you can't really give consent to anything, can you? So it's just like they're like, this baby's too powerful. Kill it and turn it into a cast. Whereas the original PSO, they were just robots like in real life. They were just robots that were built to help humans. And that's it. Whether or not they one day rise up against us, well, that's a whole nother thing, right? But anyway, I think we'll leave it here for now. At least we saw like more of the intro. We saw the strategy meeting after the actual long-ass intro. We saw the trailer. We went off on a fucking tangent about zombie media and how it made a comeback with Resident Evil in 2000 or 2001. And now we have all this to look forward to. This is an Amduskia, Navarius, Arc Ship Gate Area, Arc Ship Command Meeting Room. I think something I can probably do to avoid triggering these cutscenes at the wrong time, like off stream, when I'm off stream, I can just switch episodes. I found out I could just do that probably to avoid that from happening. So I'll do that after this. I'll back out, I'll switch out to like episode 3 or something. Episode 3 or 4 or something when I'm on the ship running around. I did that with the other 2 characters, with the other 2 Zeros, to not accidentally trigger any cutscenes. So they're androids in Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star Online. In PSO they are more akin to cyborgs. Oh, you mean in PSO2? Okay, yeah. In PSO2 casts are human, quote unquote, when they never were before. Former humans, yeah. They're not human anymore, but they used to be a human, yeah. They took the soul of a human and put it into a machine. I'm guessing they were implying they kill off the human body, but I don't know. That seemed to be what was implied when Risa explained it to us a long time ago. Because they left an impression on me. I was like, oh shit, they just, against the baby's will, the newborn baby's will, they just turned it into a robot whether they like it or not. Yeah, they kind of just, they were vague about it. It's like they didn't want to just say they just killed the baby or something. They were just like, they turn it into a cast. I was like, well, how did they turn it into a cast? You know? It is interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean, Lantis. It is kind of uncanny and, you know, interesting for lore like that for robot characters. That is something I've never seen in other media that has like android cyborg type characters. Yeah, they take the soul of a human and put it into a robot. I guess it's probably because most other futuristic sci-fi media doesn't have, well, at least not that I've seen. I should preface it like that. Yeah, doesn't have you know, like supernatural-ish elements to it. Yeah, you'd think, Lantis, but then they made it a point of saying that Maria, that cast there, she said she was getting old and she's looking to pass on the torch because she's gonna like have to retire and die off soon. So they're implying that even cast age. Like there was this whole thing. I think it was in episode 5. There was this whole sub-story of her talking about how she's getting old, even though she's a cast. She was talking about how she's getting old and she's gonna have to pass on the torch, and she's looking for people who can do that, who can take up her work when she's gone, because she's close to her retirement age and stuff. Exactly. You're a robot, just get a new body, replace the parts, right? It's like, what the fuck is this? Here's another thing, Lantis, since you brought this up just now. They just said Risa is the oldest cast. She's the very first cast. That means she has to be older than Regius and Maria. Why is she still so young and sprightly then, but Regius and Maria are like, oh, my back. Like, it's starting to fall apart, isn't it?
What? Bruh. What the fuck?
They really didn't think it through. It's like they just kind of were, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. They made this whole sub-story quest series on Maria saying she's getting old. But now they're telling us that Reese is older than every other cast in existence, but she's all young and sprightly. Shut the fuck up. God, these stupid things, dude. Fucking talking over me. But yeah, they made this whole deal about how Maria's getting old, even though she's a cast. And then now they're like, okay, well, Risa's older than every other cast because she's the first one, but she's all young and sprightly. Like, dude.
This dude. Bruh. Look at this dude.
You think they're gonna buy a new rig and insert the old hard drive? Yeah. Do you think they're gonna address this, or they're just gonna leave that as a bit of a lore plot hole? Like, I really wonder about it. If there's gonna be a cutscene later where they talk about the fact that Risa just said she's the first cast ever, but Maria and Regius are like getting ready to retire because they're getting old. Like, wait, what? How come you guys are getting old but she's not? What's going on? I hope they address this. I can't wait to see how they do it too. But for now, we're gonna wrap this up here because I gotta go to bed. But thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate the support and the company across all platforms. Unless some casts are humans and some casts are robots. They're all implied to be just robots with souls in them, with human souls. They've never said there's a difference. I think the lore writers were kind of just winging it at this point. But again, hey, let's episode 6 is just starting. Let's wait and see what they say. Maybe they'll try to defend. Maybe they'll try to find some way to like mental gymnastics this somehow later. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Please do take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Big shout out to Lantis for joining me on this. I appreciate your company as always. Always a good time, good conversations to be had. Yeah, stay safe, take care, don't die. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and good night. And I will see you all next time. Peace. And thank you for the adventures as well, Lantis. Pizza Mainstream was fun earlier. I like that. I like how you tease me on that. Stop hoeing around. I'll stop poking holes in the story. You have every right to. If they don't, you know, if they don't write their shit cohesively enough, it is what it is. So far, the only real hole you poked at all was just the whole. What just came up right now was like, wait a minute, like. Which I think that was something I just realized right after, as we were talking about the differences in cast lore between different Phantasy Star universes or whatever. Was just like, why is Risa not old if she's supposed to be the oldest cast, you know? That's the only plot hole I've really seen. To be honest. Everything else is, you know... We were pretty much just talking about the differences between the lore across different universes in Phantasy Star. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah. Bye everybody! Have a great time!